Yeah, for somebody that's looking to invest in a vacation rental today, and I tell my friends this, I look them straight in the eye and say, if you don't have 250,000 to invest like of cash right now, I wouldn't do it. If you're looking to buy a vacation rental, I really wouldn't do it. And that's really, 15% down on a minimum $700,000 house. You're also going to put 100,000 into renovations and furnishing. It's just way more difficult today than it was in 2020.
Welcome to the Vacation Rental Show. This is your essential playbook to grow and scale your vacation rental business with advice and insights from the best in the biz. I'm your host, Lynell Gordon. Welcome to the Vacation Rental Show. I'm Lynell Gordon, your host, and today we're joined by Mike Reilly. He is the Vice President of Coaching and Operations at Short-Term Rental Secrets. He's also the co-founder of a property management company called NC Stays. That's like North Carolina. Now, Mike's really unusual. A lot of you guys have come from technology, so I can't say you're that unusual, Mike, because I know a lot of people that came from tech and property management. But Mike began his career at Google. I can't say that for a lot of us. Before he transitioned into vacation rental industry, where he now helps investors launch and automate. I love that automate because we're going to talk about that, guys, and scale successful short-term rental businesses. So he coaches. He does operations leadership. He is hands-on with the investors. He works with operators who want to build profitable and sustainable portfolios. And also at NC Stays, Mike and his team focus on boutique short-term rentals across North Carolina. So they combine thoughtful design, personalize their guest experiences, and smart marketing strategies to stand out in what we know is a hugely competitive market. Mike, welcome to the show. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited to chat with you today.
So there's so many places that we could go here. So you're in 6 different markets. And which market do you live in?
Yeah, I live in a small town in eastern North Carolina called New Bern. I grew up in the Raleigh area, never been to New Bern, but my wife's from here and we got 3 little kids. So having family close by is really nice, but we love it here. It's a great little small town.
That's a stunning town. I think it's a very beautiful town. You guys should ride up to the Outer Banks. It's also similar. Now, I love your area. There's a lot of blue water where you are, and it's stunning. Now, you manage across 6 different markets, and your property management company is just under 30 properties. And how long have you been doing this?
So my wife and I, we invested in our first short-term rental in Brevard, North Carolina in 2020. So this is our 6th year. And we started managing for others. So we bought 3 properties in 2020. Interest rates were low and it was during COVID. There were no properties on the market. And we took a chance and bought 3 properties, 2 in Brevard and then 1 here in New Bern where her family lived. We were living in Nashville, Tennessee at the time. And we took that chance and we were like, okay, this actually works really well. You can grow a business pretty fast. And at that time, we weren't even looking to grow a business, but we had a lot of family and friends ask us about our properties and our investments. And they started asking us to manage for them. And Sierra was getting her real estate license at the time, or actually just had recently got it. And so that's where the property management company started. And I think it was the summer of 2021. And now we manage, 30 properties in 6 different markets in North Carolina.
Talk to me about automation. How does automation play a part in your business and your background with Google? How has that influenced what you do?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, it always starts with an obsession around time. And I've always been, and same thing with my wife, just obsessed with how we can optimize our time. That was the whole reason we got into vacation rentals in the first place, is we wanted someplace to go because both of us were traveling and working 60, 70-hour weeks. She was working at a tech job and I was working at Google as well. And we just didn't have control of our time. And so starting our own business, we found that we could. And then as we've grown, there's been a lot more things added to the plate, whether it's more properties or more people or more owners to manage with. So how can we automate as many things as possible and be as efficient as possible so we can spend the time doing things that we want to do? For us, it was growing a family and traveling, going to new places, seeing new people. I like to play a lot of golf too. She likes to run marathons. So how can we take the things that are taking us away from those things that we want to do and either put automations in place or people in place to do it? So I think right now with Manus and Claude and OpenClaw and all these different AI technologies that have popped up recently in the last 6 months is going to replace a lot of people. in our industry and just in business and sales in general. So I've been spending many hours of my free time. I've got 3 little kids I mentioned earlier, so not too much free time, but in the mornings and late at night, just researching those tools and how can we be more efficient with our time. So I'm happy to dive into that or other areas that we automate.
So my family has Dr. Claw. I have Claudia. Tell me about how you're using Claw.
So right now, I don't use Claude as much as I do Manus. Manus is a company that was bought by Meta. And Manus, what their special sauce is automating repetitive tasks and also automating a lot of like data tasks too. What I think is really unique is it can jump into a browser. Like for instance, this morning I used it to jump into VR platform, which is where our owner statements are. And I said, scrape the data for this particular property for this owner and tell me how many maintenance expenses he incurred last year. Because he was, he wanted to project for this year and he had some big expenses last year. So little things like that. It took about 20 minutes for Manus to do. And typically it would take me or one of my assistants probably a couple hours to do, to scrape through all of that data. So in vacation rentals, there's a lot of just repetitive checklists and daily tasks and some of the, the property management systems and, the pricing systems, those have really helped us. But now we still need somebody to manage those systems. But now with, a tool like Manus, it can manage a lot of things too, which we're actively looking at right now.
So how do you handle your operations? Your housekeeping, you don't live there. So how do you handle all those operational pieces?
Yeah, so we're in 6 different markets. We do use contractors in all of our markets. This is where I live. I do have a W-2 employee that does housekeeping for us. I also have an operations manager that kind of touches a lot of different areas of the business. But when I first started, honestly, my best hire that I've ever made, and probably the best investment I've ever made, was a virtual assistant, Sean, he lives in Manila. He used to work at Airbnb and he was traveling an hour and a half there to work and an hour and a half back before working for me. And he has little kids as well. And so he was spending 3 hours traveling to the call center at Airbnb. And I interviewed him and hired him back in 2021, right before our first daughter was born. And he has saved me so much time. And he's still with us today. And so I've kind of developed him to kind of think like me and make decisions like me. But obviously he's in the Philippines, so he can't be local and build a lot of relationships. But the contractors that we have, and also our operations manager and our virtual team as well, all of us share the same values and share the same goals. And we review those every single week as well. At the beginning of our week, we've got a weekly call where we review our mission, our vision, our core tenets. And I think that really helps us build relationships with all of our contractors to make it a win-win scenario in each market so that we can have quality control. Because that's really the biggest issue of not being there physically is just it's quality control. And that's what people care about when they go and stay at your homes and stay again and again and again.
You do coaching for short-term rental secrets. Are you coaching investors? Are you coaching other people doing what you're doing? Who are you coaching here?
It's definitely evolved. When I first started, it was really just helping people buy their first short-term rental. And then also if they wanted to get into property management, how to manage a property without being physically there or spending a ton of time doing it. But now we focus primarily on folks that have 10 properties or more that want to gain some of their time back and also have a system so that they can acquire new homeowners as well. Not just relying on, word of mouth and relying on referrals, but also how do you implement outbound? I told you I worked at Google in the past. I was in sales and we had to do a lot of just developing relationships and doing outbound sales as well. And so taking some of those things that I've learned from my business, but also from Google, and then helping people grow their companies as well. It's been a lot of fun. And I love the one-on-one coaching. That's really building the relationships and seeing people grow is really what lights me up.
So 2020 was way different in starting a property management business and acquiring properties than it is today. Back in 2020 is when I bought my first vacation rental and I bought another house. And my husband bought a house. Interest rates were under 3%. And so it's very affordable for me to have my vacation rental right now. What about people today where it's not that? What kind of advice would you give to people that are looking to invest in property management properties today?
Yeah, for somebody that's looking to invest in a vacation rental today, and I tell my friends this, I look them straight in the eye and say, if you don't have $250,000 to invest like of cash right now, I wouldn't do it. If you're looking to buy a vacation rental, I really wouldn't do it. And that's really, 15% down on a minimum $700,000 house. You're also going to put, 100,000 into renovations and furnishing. It's just way more difficult today than it was in 2020. It's the same thing. My properties that I bought in 2020, yes, I have a 3% interest rate on, which is amazing, but still, I'm making way less than I did in 2020, 2021. So I'm still having to reinvest back into those properties, put the saunas, put the hot tubs, really like make the experience better that is going to stand out. And we're still finding really good properties. We just bought a property in Pinehurst last year. I just got the numbers back, the trailing 12 months numbers, because we launched in March last year. It was a $700,000 house. We put $182,000 into turning a half bath into a full bath, full painting pretty much every single inch of the house. My wife's a designer as well, and she loves to put some dark colors and dark paint on the trim and everything too. We put in a garage conversion, which was converted to a kind of like a guy's room with a golf simulator, golden tee, a couch, big TVs, and then did the putting green, fire pits, sauna, everything outside, outdoor shower, outdoor eating area. So we're all into it for probably about $230,000 of cash, but it generated just over $70,000 in profit in the first year, 35% cash on cash return. It did about $170,000 in gross rents in the first year, and then also just over $300,000 of depreciation as well. And so there are still really good opportunities out there. They are hidden just like they were in 2020. Like we didn't have AirDNA and Price Labs and all these different tools to really tell us, hey, this is a home run investment. We're still taking a risk to put that money in. It's just kind of have to put a lot more money into it now in order to get the type of returns that we're getting in 2020. So that's what I tell everybody.
And when did you buy your Pinehurst house?
Yeah, it closed in February last year, 2025. Yep.
And their interest rates on that were at 6%?
Yeah, it was just under 6%. It was state employees. Yeah, state employees credit union.
That's a trick of the trade that you guys should know. I am actually a member of the State Employees Credit Union for exactly that reason, in case I want to invest in real estate in North Carolina, because they do give you the best rates at the time, because you could have gotten 8% elsewhere. And state employees is much better. Listen, I've heard some deals with VA loans that are like at 3% today. That's for people that are wanting to buy their own house, of course, but you could rent the house you're in. But I'm just saying there are some things to think about. If you're thinking about investing in real estate and starting to rent your properties, here's my question to you. Who do you use for marketing? Are you using OTAs mostly?
Yeah, for sure. So we're on Airbnb, Vrbo. We do have our own, direct booking presence. I really don't do much to acquire a new guest through direct bookings. I feel like I see people do Facebook ads and stuff like that, or maybe market, Facebook marketplace groups and stuff like that. But I found conversions are terrible. Like they just don't really trust direct bookings if they've never stayed there before. So we spend a good amount of money of retargeting. So if somebody stays in our home on Airbnb and Vrbo, we capture their email, their phone number through different ways that we can capture it. And then we retarget back to them so that they'll stay with us and book direct. That's what's worked out for us for marketing channels. So Airbnb, Vrbo, our direct booking site, obviously social media, and then retargeting.
So how many times have you had Airbnb refund a guest?
Very few. I've seen a lot of horror stories. I haven't had many personally myself. I'll probably knock on wood on that. But I haven't had any bad guests really over the 6 years we've been doing it.
Do you do your own trust accounting?
Yes, we do.
So you do have a trust. Okay. So do you use that for Vrbo? Are you merchant of record with Vrbo?
No, we use Hospitable as our property management software. So I think they're making some changes there where we will be directly integrated, but I think Hospitable's got a solution for that.
All right. So most of your bookings are made and you really don't see a return on investment for people using your website for direct bookings. That is unusual. It's unusual for tourism areas in North Carolina, not for some of the areas that you're in. I mean, Pinehurst is tourism, but you're doing niche marketing. Let me just say, Pinehurst is a niche market. It's for golfers. It truly is. That's a fabulous place since that's your love and your interest. That's a fabulous place where you've done that. And I love the fact that you've made that house, and your wife's in design, but you've made that house exactly what golfers would like. So that's really impressive that what you've done, you're a little bit unusual to me. I'm just going to say, because what you've done is you've taken your life and the things that you love and you've said, I'm going to make a world around that. And you've built your property management company around that. And I applaud that. That is fabulous because the amount of satisfaction you get from your work, I assume, is incredible.
Yeah, we're going to one of our properties this weekend and taking the kids and staying in it. And that's how it started too. It started very intentional of just, hey, we need to get away from Google and get away from the 60-hour work weeks and go to a place that we love. And so we also say no to a lot of owners that want us to manage their properties, whether it's, hey, I've got a 1-bedroom here. I've got a condo that's not on the beach, but, it only brings in about 40 grand a year. And so we typically pass those on to other folks because it just doesn't really meet our niche. Because again, it's all about time for us and getting the best return on our time.
And you're doing luxury. You're trying to do, you're not trying. You are doing luxury rentals. I mean, based on what you've said to me. So what ways are you using AI right now in your operations to help you improve your guest or your owner experience?
So the guest experience, a lot of the design and creating the listings and also creating our marketing as well, the thought leadership and that ChatGPT, and I've used Claude a little bit on writing marketing copy. I think that really helps me because I've got these ideas in my head, and now how can I put them on a listing or put them into a photo or put it into a video or put it into social media where it'll capture my ideal guests' attention so that they will book with us or give us ideas on how to improve the guest experience, that sort of thing. So I use that a lot as just like a thought buddy, and then also execute on marketing copy, creating the listings, that sort of thing.
This episode of the Vacation Rental Show is sponsored by RevMax, the premier full-service revenue management system built for vacation rental managers who are looking for a market edge. RevMax offers data-driven tools and services that will increase revenue and drive more profit. Connect with their revenue management experts at getrevmax.com and discover their full-service revenue management solution. You'll be glad you did. Are you also a real estate agent?
My wife is. So she's our firm owner, and then I kind of run the operations.
You really should do that. Let me tell you why. I'm just going to give you an idea because I think you've already done a better job than classes. There are classes that I've taken more than once at the Real Estate Commission, which reminds me, I have to do that before. Actually, I don't. We've got 2 years now, so I've got an extra year. But the investing, I think you would be an incredible teacher to teach people what the numbers are for an investment home, because most people don't know. And a lot of people get into it and they think that, okay, I'll use Airbnb, I'll use Vrbo, I'll use Booking, I'll use whatever, and I will buy this home, I will do this investment, and they forget about all the ancillary costs. And I'm talking about co-hosts now. I'm not talking about, large property management companies because they look at things different. And that's really not what this pod is about. This pod is really about people who want to grow. You're talking about growing businesses from 10 greater. That's what you're talking about coaching. So tell me the types of things that you tell people who have 10 properties and they're looking to grow their property management. What kind of advice are you giving them? Because it sounds to me like you're looking to say, I can save you from hiring new people if you do things in this way.
Yeah. I think first and foremost, it all starts with what is their end goal? Like, what are they trying to achieve? Is it you're trying to leave your W-2? Maybe you're working 2 jobs at the same time right now, or maybe you're a full-time real estate agent. You want to add a nice vacation rental business that can be mailbox money. So it all starts with like, what's the goal? What are we looking to accomplish? Because without that, it's very difficult to grow a property management company. I mean, there's so many different things that can stop you from it. I mean, whether it's acquiring a new client, stepping out of your comfort zone and like learning sales, whether it's trust accounting and learning that and forecasting. I mean, that takes up a lot of time.
There's so many tools to do that. There's just so many tools. Don't do that. Use a tool.
Right. And you got to learn all these different tools. And so it starts there. And then I do tell people, all right, if you're looking to grow and, you need to focus on sales and acquisitions, you need to have a clear understanding of who you are looking to attract. What types of owners and what types of properties are you looking to attract? Because there are the bigger companies like the Vicasas, like the Evolves, there's the self-managers, and then there's also the typical big box property managers that have maybe 100, 200, 300 listings that have been around for a long time and have really good brands in those markets. So if you try and compete with them and say you'll take the 1-bedroom condos and also you'll take the 8-bedroom oceanfront homes, it's going to be pretty hard to compete with those folks. But if you say, hey, I'm only focusing on oceanfront properties that are 7 bedrooms or more, and you're only focusing on that niche because you know that niche because you have a 7-bedroom oceanfront property, or, like for me, I love Pinehurst, I love to golf. I know golfers better than most vacation rental managers. So if you can find your niche and whatever that is, and I help people draw out what that niche is and what they want to focus on, because that's typically what they sell the best anyways. So what's the goal? And then what's your niche? Those are the two things I focus on first.
What's the biggest misconception people have about short-term rentals when they walk into this with you, talking to you about it?
Oh, I think biggest misconception is it is going to be really easy because they've seen me do it, or they've seen their friend buy their first property or something like that. Or also they see Vacasa and they have got a 3.9 star rating on their house. So I think that is probably the biggest misconception is just, hey, I'm going to jump into it and I'm going to acquire 10 properties in the next 6 months. It takes a lot of thoughtful conversations, building your brand in order to grow and grow the right way too.
I'm really impressed with what you've done and the way you started it. I'll be real honest. I'm really impressed with how profitable you've made things. That's really exciting. And I hope that you can help lots of people to do the same thing. Is it true that you were a professional tennis player?
Yes. I thought I was going to be, Roger Federer. That was the only thing I focused on and did up until I had kidney disease when I was a senior in college. And I remember I'd just gotten my kidney removed finally. And I was recovering, sitting in my bed at home and watching Federer play Nadal, I think at the French Open. And I was like, these guys are really good. And I'm sitting here in bed. I should probably start thinking about something else. And I didn't really know what else I was going to do. And so I got into sales at a tech company and then just kind of worked my way up to Google.
Well, I got to tell you, that's quite a success story in what you and your wife are doing with the few amount of employees that you're doing, especially the number of markets. That's one of the most difficult parts of property management is managing in different markets. There are tremendous challenges to doing that. And so, you're doing a weekly meeting. We know that. What have you found is the hardest part of managing in multiple markets that you don't live in?
Yeah, quality control is by far the most difficult part. So meeting our standards, we've got over 1,500 reviews between Airbnb and Vrbo, and our average is 4.95. And that's what our KPI is for our team. That's what we look at weekly. But it all starts with the design of the property and the onboarding of the property. When we onboard a property, we take inventory of everything, of where the laundry pods are, where the water shutoff is, what the crawl space looks like, and taking pictures of that. We get inventory of everything so that we have it. And then this is really where our AI comes in. We created something called I call it the Freedom Operating System, but it's built on Notion. And so Notion's AI is really the foundational database for our company. So if we have any question about the house, or if a guest is having an issue, or if our contractor is having an issue, I go to my second brain in the Freedom Operating System in Notion, and I ask it, what is the supply closet code for Sequoia? And it'll spit back the answer because I gave it the answer when I onboarded it. So having that information at my fingertips, instead of having to go through a spreadsheet, which is what we started with a spreadsheet, but having that information in a database that is AI searchable has just allowed, I wouldn't even say me anymore. I don't even use it. It's my team uses it to get that information quickly to the guest or to the contractor. So the contractor is not there waiting on us. They get their answers very quickly because we have the foundations in place. So I think that's number one. And then number two is we pay a inspector essentially to go and do what we call pre-stays. So pre-stays are going through, we have a checklist for each property that is unique. We typically have some sort of like welcome package that we have them put together and put out. And then also go through each room, make sure there's no socks under the pillows, and make sure, past guests haven't, really just go over the cleaners and make sure that there's quality control in each and every one of our properties. And we do focus on luxury. So like we can pay somebody to do that because we're also getting paid more for those stays. And that's, again, why we don't really focus on the properties that only bring in $30,000, $40,000 a year.
So you might consider, and this is just you and me, the fence post, and everybody listening who probably will have no idea, you might consider using Sanity for your people that are out in the field to help them to do that same type of thing that you're doing with Notion AI. Sanity is great for non-coders. It's an excellent way to add information to your website using that or out in the field for people to get it. That I want you to guys take note. He's doing what people are paying others to do this right now. They're writing their own bots and they're putting them on their website so that John Guest can go in and say, is the boat slip available at 239, Water Street? Can I use that boat strip? Can I go fishing? Where do I get a fishing license? What about the beach access? Where's my beach access? What's the bedding situation? And I mean, asking it. I'm not talking about typing it in. I'm talking about asking it on their phone. If you wonder where we're going in the future, I don't have to ask Mike where we're going. Mike is the future. Mike is the future of where we're going with people that want to do property management on their own. They don't want to be tied down by a bunch of different systems. They are using AI to create that. He has 1,500 guys reviews that are 4.95. People are happy with what he's doing. And he's got about 30 rentals. And he's thrilled. He's got a great life. So, Mike, you are ahead of your time here, in my opinion. There are not a lot of people doing this the way that you're doing it. But it's because you had the tech background, really, to start. I mean, I'm just going to say that's huge. What tech is doing now, 6 months ago, it couldn't do. We started building a new website for one of my nonprofits back in November. And already today, we're changing the technology because it's so much more powerful. I cannot imagine what the next 5 years will hold for us. Is there any advice you would give to property managers listening?
Yeah, I mean, I think first and foremost, take a inventory on where you're spending your time and also an inventory of where your team is spending their time. So one of the things that I do twice a year, and then also I'd recommend everybody to do it, anybody I coach or friends, family, is do a time study. So this is not driven by AI. I'm sure there are tools that can pull in your calendar and all these things, but I'm talking about sitting down, printing out a piece of paper, and every hour writing down what you did in that hour, and do that for an entire week. And then take an inventory of those things that you did, write them all down, and then just mark which ones give you energy and which ones make you money. And then also mark the ones that suck your energy and maybe don't make you as much money. And then take that time and research, how can you automate or how can you learn new skills? AI is going to replace a lot of jobs. It is going to replace a lot of people, but we still need the inputs. We still need the humans to train that AI. So you need to learn how to train AI to take on more revenue generating tasks. So do the time study, figure out what you don't want to be doing anymore, and then do some research on how you can replace that task with a certain skill. And AI can probably do it, or you can pay somebody to create an AI for you that can probably do it as well.
Well, I love your boutique approach to what you're doing in property management. I know that, guys, all of my friends out there that have 100 or more properties, you're looking at this and you're saying, that's insane. Like, I have markets, and this is going to be hard to hear. I have markets in North Carolina that don't use OTAs. Everything they have. Okay. That's a different business model, guys, completely different. So if people want to reach out to you to ask you about some of the things that you do for automation, the AI, would you be willing to chat with them?
Yeah, for sure. You can find me on LinkedIn. Instagram's probably the best place to find me. It's just Mike Reilly, NC, Reilly. That's how you spell my last name. It's probably the easiest place to get in touch with me, or my website, nc-stays.com. And I'm happy to talk about this with anyone.
I love this. It's unique. It's different. A lot of the pieces that he's talking about, guys, are the future of what we're doing. You have vendors that are creating products like this right now. We're putting that inside of large PMSs that we use. So just hold on to your hats. It's going to change for the better. And when Mike talks about we won't need as many people, I believe we're going to need as many people, but I think we're going to use people to do different tasks than what they're doing today. We will have more time to help our guests, more time to talk to our owners, more time to do the outbound piece that Mike is so good at, that he trained at with Google Outbound Sales. Is, look, I love outbound sales. Not everybody does, but you either have the mindset to love it or you hate it. And the people that are successful in sales love outbound sales. So is there any other advice that you'd like to give property managers?
Yeah, I mean, I had a buddy that I mentored, him and his wife. And he just passed away at 39 years old, just like tragically. They had 8 properties that they managed and 2 that they owned. And so at the end of the day, we don't know how much time we have left. So whether it's spending time with family or spending time golfing or whatever you really want to do, focus on that first and then work, and growing your business. That can all come. But first and foremost, take care of yourself, take care of your family, and then build a business that serves you and your family, not the other way around. And then also, you mentioned it earlier, there's so many different ways to do things. There's just so many ways to grow a business. So figure out what's best for you and ultimately grow in the way you want to. But I appreciate you having me.
Yeah. And I think if you're looking to invest in your first property, I think that Mike would be a great resource for you to sit down and say, okay, let's count the cost. How much is it? What do I need to think about? What do I have to put in? I mean, I love the fact that you let people know up front. You're going to have to put money in this house, if you're going to do it for property management, because there are things that you need to change normally. I bought my house. It was a vacation rental to start with. And yes, you still have to put money in. You still do. So count the cost. And thank you again for being with us. Guys, think about your quality of life as you think about this particular program. It's an unusual one that we do. This is an unusual podcast, but it really makes you think about your life and how happy you want to be in it. My dad used to say, no one says at the end of their days, I wished I'd worked more. Now, he said that, but I can tell you that one of my very close people said to me, when my dad died, he said to my mom, I wished I provided more for you. And I thought, okay, that's totally different. My dad didn't say it. People do say that. So I think it's based on, what do you want out of life? What's important to you? And sometimes we don't take the time to do that. We're so busy with our everyday lives. So thank you for coming, Mike. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
This episode of the Vacation Rental Show is brought to you by RevMax. To find out more about how RevMax can help grow your vacation rental business, visit getrevmax.com. Make sure to search for the Vacation Rental Show in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube, or anywhere else podcasts are found, and hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. On behalf of the team here at Inhabit, thanks for listening.